Well, hey, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And let me do a little adjustment here. There we go. I think, okay, yeah, that's more of how I do it. But anyway, it is August 22nd, 2025. I'll run through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, etc. Where do we start? Well, here's something. So I got a refurbished PS3 controller from Amazon, and it is in amazing condition. It even has some sort of sticker on the back as if it was um, certified refurbished. You know, you never know with used controllers, and it's hard to come across DualShock 3s. And when you do, if they're new, they're really expensive. You know, they could be like 50 or 60, which I guess isn't too bad, but it's not like this is absolutely necessary. But, you know, I talked about recently playing the PS3 or getting it hooked up. It has Gradius 5. And even though I didn't have, I don't know where my PS3 controller is, but you can use a DualShock 4, DualSense 4. What are they? No, that was a DualShock 4 because the DualSense is new. Anyway, you can use a PS4 controller, but you don't have the option to hit the home button. So you'd have to like get up, shut off the console, turn it back on. This solves that. So my plan really is to get into some more of those PS3 exclusives that I can't play anywhere else, mainly Gradius 5. So, and yesterday was pretty wild. I didn't play too many games. We'll get into that, but I had the Gundam Explained show, and that was a lot of fun. During that, I did an unboxing. I got some cool goodies from Ian, or Sneaky Sama is a longtime supporter of the Gundam Explained show. Sent some Wing stuff, so I've got this like new Wing Zero action figure. I've got an Epion, and they're all just kind of hanging out. Among another thing, he got me the Force Impulse Metal Robot Spirits. Keep track of the Gundam Explained channel because in the next few weeks you'll see reviews of these items. But so yeah, let's talk about what gaming I did yesterday. It wasn't too much, or was it? So yeah, after the show of playing the Rogue Prince of Persia yesterday, showed off, which I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty impressed with it. I really liked the feel of the motion, the gameplay was all great, and I don't like the whole rogue like loop of, and it could be different, so I still need to play into it, but like of you play, you die, you start over, the areas are a little different, and then you just kind of repeat to. Anyway, I played so much Dead Cells. Actually, did I look that up on here before? How much I had actually played? It says 16 hours on Steam, which I do think that's a lot for a 2D side-scrolling roguelike. 121 achievements. Wow. And then I played, the Castlevania stuff that they had, which was really awesome. And I was playing Dead Cells since either, I forget if it was that, was it early access or something, but man, I think 16 hours is a lot of time for that game. Now, here's something when I move my desk, and it's probably this way. Anyway, it's not a big deal. Hey, JamKillX, Ultronimus, good to see you guys. And hey, shout out to JamKillX for calling in yesterday in the Gundam Explained show. It's a new thing I'm trying to do, and I'd like to implement it here. It's where people can call in. For some reason, I couldn't get it to work, even though I tested it before and it worked. And it wasn't you, JamKillX, trust me. But anyway, let's get back to what I was playing. So, yeah, after Rogue Prince of Persia, work happened, and then I played Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and I beat it. So, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, there's 2 remaining secret levels I didn't unlock, and there's another ending, because this says I got ending B, and at the end it did give me a choice for something. 5 hours, 16 minutes, I beat it, and I guess the game is $25. It has amazing graphics, amazing music. I don't care to be in it when I have to do the loop of the game, and so to make it easy, I feel like I talk about this a lot, but I kind of want to end it here. As you fight in the game, enemies take one hit to kill, but there are these stronger enemies that take a lot of hits. But you're not going to be successful if you spend your time just attacking an enemy regularly and just sitting there and hit. The game wants you to be constantly moving, whether that's attacking while running or when you jump, you hit double jump to sort of bounce off and attack enemies. So you're constantly moving forward. If you come across those big enemies I talk about, you're supposed to kill them with a one-hit strike that you get by, at some point when a big enemy is there, another enemy will show up that either has the blue or the pink little light diamond on them. And you have to then hit them with that corresponding attack. For me, using, the Xbox Lite controller, X for the blue, B for the pink or the red. And you have to have hit the right one and then attack the enemy. And sometimes the big enemy has that color, and so you need to match it in order to then like carry on that. And I think there's a name for it. I forgot what it is, like guillotine boost or something, or hypercharge or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, as then you're playing the level, it's very structured on how you're supposed to get through the level, and there's less exploration and just kind of fiddling around with the mechanics. It's like, bounce off this guy, bounce off get this guy, hit this pink guy, so then you can attack this pink guy, so then you can bounce off this guy. And then, like, if you mess that up, you'll get overrun by enemies or swarmed by enemies. So I don't feel like I had a chance to, like, breathe and just sit there and enjoy the game. It's almost like I had to just get through it. And then when it comes to the part in this, I feel like it didn't pan out. So when you have this alternate character that you could be, it's very limited. It's specific areas in the game have this little like flesh marker. I don't know how to explain it. You go up to it, you press up, and it like grabs you, but then like it's like it's a different dimension, same place, but then you're the girl, and then there's these like eye platforms that appear, and then it becomes a platforming mini game. It's a timed platforming mini game, and I don't know. I don't think the game became what it should have been, but at the same time, I think what we have is very exceptional in terms of an art form. So it's very weird, very weird. I would even say it's worth buying. If you're into just pixel art 2D games for $25, it's worth buying. Okay, and then I did some more Godzilla PS4 again as I whittle away. I just beat it with Rodan, but did not get the gold star, which means I'm gonna have to play through with Rodan again. But I did upgrade Rodan quite a bit, so. But then I got to do this with nearly all the others. I mean, I got a lot of gold stars, but I have to, max there. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. I was hoping to get it done by the end of the year, but I went like a couple months without playing. All right. I tell you, that noise is bothering me. I'm gonna move. Okay, there we go. I guess let's jump into the news. I've got a few things here. Frostgiant CEO Tim Morton says layoffs are possible after Stormgate underperforms. So the news really isn't about the layoffs, but I guess it kind of is. But it's more about Stormgate. This is a game that I was following and I was very interested in playing. And as soon as it came out, the reviews were not good. Yeah, even right now it's mixed. Yeah, and this is like an RTS, kind of a Starcraftian type RTS. I was so looking forward to this. But as soon as it came out, the reviews, I mean, there's some RTSs out there where, yeah, they're not the best, but the reviews are generally positive because it's people that like the genre. So you're going to see the people that are reviewing this are people that like the genre. So if it doesn't work for them, yeah, look at this. Look at the reviews. It's crazy. I would love to try this game, and it says free to play. Okay, I didn't even know it was free to play. They must have changed it. Let me see. And it says it's already in my library. Maybe I added it to the library and just never installed it or played it. Interesting. So let's go back to this real quick and see. Industry veteran who previously managed production on the StarCraft franchise at Blizzard before leaving to establish Frost Giant Studios in 2020, spoke to game developer at Gamescom 2025 and confirmed Stormgate is seriously struggling after exiting early access on Steam. In a candid conversation about the current state of play, Morton said Stormgate peaked at around 1,000 concurrent players on Steam at launch, which is significantly less than the 5,000 it managed to hit during early access. We're at a 20% of what we saw during early access, and that is not a sustainable place for us to be. I'm going to say that this is one of the reasons why I don't think early access works, especially with an RTS. I feel like if you're playing an RTS in early access, you're playing it a whole lot. You get the systems down, you get whatever down. Eventually you'll move on, but then if the game comes out and then it's like, okay, here's all these changes, the updates, you go to play and it's like changed. I don't think a lot of people are into that. That happened with, I think it was Red Alert 3. I forget if it was CNC3 or Red Alert 3. EA, like they were even doing a competition where you could practice to play to then do this like tournament thing they were holding, and I was going to do it. But like a week before the tournament, they released a patch that really that redid how the game works. And it's like, wait a minute, you have people preparing for this tournament. So I remember I said something about it or asked, I forget. I just remember there was some online discussion about that, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. Not that it's a big deal, and it could be fun still, but for an RTS, I'm not a competitive person. So for me to take the time to then want to learn the systems to do that, I was a little gutted when they're like, yeah, we're going to change it. I was like, oh, okay. Let's see. So yeah, Frost Giant Studio struggles to realize vision for Stormgate after raising almost 40 million. Frost Giant has there's so many reasons that it could be, and you never know with these games. It could just be bad luck. That really, this is a fun and competent game. It just maybe the time it came out, the types of people that are playing it are just not giving it good reviews. I probably need to try it though. I really do want to try it. I have it. It says free to play. I guess an RTS is one of those things where it is a commitment, where it's like, okay, I got to sit down, learn these systems, go through. So yeah. Okay, moving on. Kind of related, I guess, to layoffs or things happening in companies, but Bungie CEO Pete Parsons steps down. Just a Truman to succeed. So I think this is just a very interesting series of events that have happened since Bungie leaving Microsoft, and then Sony wanting to snatch them up, and then like, man, just so many crazy things happened in the past 5 years in the game industry. And actually, we're going to get into some of that because yeah, all this stuff is kind of related. I did some research, put some stuff together. We'll get to that shortly. So we'll save the rest of this for later. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection adds PlayStation spin-off games, WaveNet Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. This collection is getting a lot more interesting to me than I thought, just because it's almost like a library of some very interesting Mortal Kombat games. So I would definitely actually pick this up. Let's see. Let's go to the page. It says coming soon. Let's add to wish list. Although this could easily be a Switch title in terms of it running really good on something like a Switch based on what the games are. Having the handheld mode if I wanted to. So, and I think about that sometimes. That's the first world problems over here. It's like, okay, do I buy this on PC or do I buy it on Switch or Xbox? Blah blah blah. Like, me deciding to play Demon X Machina on Xbox, even though I play on PC here, I was like, I'd rather sit on the couch and play it. Even though I could do that with the ROG Ally, I don't plan to play it in handheld mode on the ROG Ally. That seems just to be a couch game. So, sorry, my allergies are sort of acting up. Anyway, that's really cool about Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Again, no date, but definitely. You know what? It would be cool to work for this company, Digital Eclipse. Not that I have any skill set for any of that, but the fact that they're like re-releasing, bringing out these older games. And is that really both Ed Boon and John Tobias sitting together? Are we going to get more information about that? In effect, are they going to have some sort of interactive documentary? Wow. Deep behind the scenes content chronicles the history of the franchise, featuring exclusive new interviews with original MK developers Ed Boon, John Tobias, Dan Forden, and John Vogel. Dozens more. That's really cool. Okay. Hollow Knight Silksong gets a release date after 7 years in development, so it really did happen. It got a release date after 7 years of development, and they said there's nothing that held development back, just that they were taking their time. The game was selling well, and it gave them the opportunity and the freedom to take their time with the game. And then over time, they realized they were spending too much time just adding new things. They're like, okay, we got to stop at some point, which that's really cool that they have a lot of stuff. So here's the thing. I might play this, but that first Hollow Knight, I gave it a shot a second time, technically a third time. I saw that I had played it on another platform, and I just, it has the bones of a Metroidvania, but it doesn't have the atmosphere to keep me wanting more. But I don't want to knock it because so many people like it that obviously there's something about it that is awesome. So, cool. All right. Let's go to this. So, oh wait, no. Wait, was there another thing that was going to lead me to this? Oh, kill the brick man. Okay, it was this I was looking at, I think, from Game Industry Biz. With the waves of layoffs, the way that people are overworked, everyone agrees that there is a systemic problem. And yes, and in fact, this has been something like, if you have followed me in gaming as I've covered it, like, I think it's one of these things where it's like, yeah, we know. And so part of it makes me think there's so many younger people that are now covering games, or so many younger people that are now getting into the game development industry, not realizing the patterns have already been there. So, signs of the shift. In the 2000s, I think, is when it started, because executives were getting more into stirring the pot of what to do with gaming. You know, executives, bigger companies, Sony, EA got bigger. I mean, yeah, Sony, Microsoft are good examples. Ballooning budgets. This is from 2010 to 2013. HD consoles, the 360 PS3, pushed production values sky high. Realistic graphics, orchestral soundtracks, full VO, motion capture, sprawling open worlds. Average AAA development budgets jumped from 5 to 10 million in the PS2 era to 50 to 100 million plus by the early 2010s. Marketing often matched or exceeded dev costs. Tomb Raider's combined dev marketing was rumored over 100 million. With publisher pressure, companies set sales expectations in the 5 to 10 million range to break even, while most titles still realistically sold 1 to 3 million. So it was very apparent, even to me, and we're going to get to the Square Enix stuff here, where it was like these games sold fine, but you hear these companies are expecting so much more. It's like, okay, these companies, again, any company can be wrong and not know what they're doing, and we're valid with our criticisms. They were relying too much on making money. And while, yes, that is a thing, you could look at a company like Nintendo, and they know how to manage that stuff a lot better, understanding what the budget needs to be, your market, knowing what the market is, not being like, oh, Candy Crush sold that much, let's make Tony Hawk sell that much. It doesn't work that way, you know? So here we go. THQ was kind of the first sign of this. This is from 2007 to 2013. Bet big on expensive core gamer franchises: Homefront, Darksiders, Saints Row. Their U-Draw peripheral flopped hard, draining cash, couldn't sustain AAA losses. The bankruptcy in 2012, assets sold in 2013. So it's like, wait, THQ has these good games. In fact, all these other companies come in to buy them, so they can, and they continue these franchises. And I guess the issue is where they then make these games. They're like, oh, let's pump more money into this game because then we can make more money out of it. You know, just kind of like how the movie business has been working and all that. And then the Square Enix 2010 struggles. Final Fantasy, was that 13 trilogy was costly and divisive. Western devs, Eidos rebooted Tomb Raider, Hitman, Deus Ex sold millions, but were still branded underperformers in 2013 financial reports. I remember all this. Revealed a mismatch between Japanese corporate expectations and global market realities, which that could make sense because it could be as soon as the Japanese executives are working with the Western or foreign distribution, marketing, and all that. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to sell to all these other territories, but it costs this much more. And then they realize they don't get the return. And it's like, what? And yeah, it's because these in other regions or Western or American companies, I don't really know if there's necessarily a delineation, but that they just all had these ballooning budgets by this time. So some industry-wide trends: rise of franchise or bust mentality. Publishers funneled money into big sequels, abandoning mid-tier AA games. Yeah, I mean that's we always talk about where we miss those double. Remember those 360 or PS3 era games? Like those are just fun, gamey games that didn't rely or need a lot of money, and they can exist and find an audience. Indie counter movement. At the same time, Braid, Super Meat Boy, Minecraft, and Fez proved small teams could thrive digitally. Exactly. That was a magical time when we started getting all these amazing indie games. I even brought up Super Meat Boy the other day because I don't care for this sort of puzzle platformer game, but Super Meat Boy, fun as hell game. I remember, and then even around that time, Braid, I played that and I thought it was okay. Fez was, yeah, all those games that are mentioned here, as well as Dust and Elysian Tale, which was just straight up a Metroidvania. But this was just kind of showing, and it's almost like if you took a wide picture, you could see, it's obvious once you start seeing these companies with big budgets ballooning, all of a sudden that leaves room. It's like a vacuum of these smaller, more interesting titles to like start coming in. And then pretty soon when players see they have a choice, to them, the player's not choosing. How do I word this? That's very interesting. It's funny to see a company be like, yeah, let's put 300 million in this game, or let's just do 50 million in this game. But it's not like the player, the consumer is going like, oh, let's buy this game because this was a $300 million game, or let's buy this one because it was a 50 million. No, you're going to buy what you think is fun. And that's what they were missing. Shift to games as a service DLC. Around 2011, 2013, publishers realized ongoing monetization, DLC, multiplayer expansions was key to recouping massive budgets. Wow. It's like a snake eating its own tail in that case. Now, games as a service, I wouldn't put Game Pass on there. I think Game Pass is doing something different and neat and cool, and I don't think that's I feel like what Game Pass does is it helps those companies that have those big budget games that they're going to get losses on. Or it helps the indies that want to get seen. Game Pass or, PS Plus, whatever, there's potential there. But I think with the monetization, it's, where these companies like, wow, this, we got to make up all the money we've spent on this game. So let's just come up with all this crappy deal. So everything is just about making money, recouping the cost, which again, I don't like the argument that says, well, all companies have to make money. No, there's good decisions. There's bad decisions. Consolidation, smaller mid-publishers like THQ died while EA, Activision, Ubisoft, and a few Japanese giants consolidated power. Why this period feels like a turning point. It was the end of the Wild West HD era where everyone was still figuring out costs. The market hardened. Either go blockbuster scale, Call of Duty, GTA, FIFA, or go small indie. The middle ground, THQ's bread and butter and many Square Enix failures, got squeezed out. That's a good way to put it. Set the stage for today's industry where budgets can exceed 200 to 300 million. Cyberpunk, Starfield, fewer bigger releases each year. Indies thrive digitally, but AA space is rare. So, I think it's pretty obvious what needs to happen, and maybe some companies are getting it together, but you just got to reduce these budgets and not have an expectation when what that could mean is someone like a Sony or Microsoft. Huge, big, non-gaming first companies might just get out of gaming eventually. We could see that. I almost don't see Microsoft. Maybe Sony does. It could be that Sony just ends up, and I think it's going to happen. They're just going to end up having development studios to have some games to come out. Hold on one second. Hey, Cat. Cat, it was chewing on some plastic, and I don't think that's good. Hey, Cat. No. I put a pair of Crocs in front of the plastic. That might get her scared. Yeah, she's just looking at the Crocs. She's like, do I even go over there? And now the dog is like, oh, what were these Crocs put there for? Very interesting. I should have a pet cam. Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks, animals. Back to what I was talking about. We might actually be done here. Because this is stuff I've talked about before when it comes to the AAA space. Oh yeah, the Sony things are changing, and the reason Nintendo works the way it does is because they've always just focused on the games and kept the budgets down. They've always been true to their video game roots. Sony got into it in order to be more into the home entertainment business. Microsoft got into it to stop Sony from taking over the home entertainment business. Nintendo got into it to come up with fun new things for people to play, and that's why it works. So when you with Valve, Steam, Valve announced that they're going to be coming out with their. I think I brought this up yesterday. Valve is going to be coming out with a Steam console because they're a gaming first company. They now see the vacuum where it's like, oh, there's room for some consoles. Be interesting times for sure. But anyway, this just goes back to I am just a person. I am just a dude that likes video games, that likes Gundam, married, blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty obvious when I could see companies making bad decisions with video games. And the difference, between them and me is I'm not relying on the video game performance for my well-being in terms of how it sells. But I would probably be able to come up with things that would be better for the industry and these companies. I mean, really, it's just trying to gameplay first. I think gameplay first, really. Okay, what else did I? Oh yeah, this is pretty neat. I haven't read too much about it, but another console, Vectrix Mini, is the next micro console you'll need to own. Now, this is very cool. I don't know if they have a price for it at all. I don't even know if I would buy it. This seems it could have some fun games on it. Man, this looks great. I used to have was it this one or the ColecoVision? There was another one I had that was, and it might have been this, and it had the things I would put onto it, which I think they're trying to mimic with this. Let's see, HMI out. Oh, a Kickstarter campaign. Oh, so no price or anything yet. It's a Kickstarter. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Getting close to time. What else? King of Meat launches October 7th for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC in early 2026 for Switch. So, what is this? I think I looked this up before. Oh, yeah, it's because it's coming out soon. And it looks like it's kind of a fun, like I was almost thinking brawler, and it has co-op in it, but I really don't know what to expect. Because sometimes when I see games like this, I'm like, okay, is this an evolution of the beat 'em up genre? And I think the one thing that keeps these games a lot of times from moving forward, and I would think like, was it the finals or something? It's like when a game is a game. Does that make sense? Like when you're playing a game, but it's like you're in a game. And I'm not into that. And this kind of seems to do that, but it's just that it has a lot of interesting things going on. Well, I didn't even know it had this like build dungeon thing. Anyway, that's pretty interesting, and it's a $29 game. This looks like it could be pretty cool. Okay, what else do I have going on? Yeah, we're near the end of time here. Let me see. Yeah, let me show you guys something. There's this Prison of Husks game. I got the demo, so I hope to try this soon. This looks just like a Demon Souls game, but it has those, old school, let's see, those PS1 graphics that really add to the atmosphere. And this is something I was talking about yesterday on the Gundam Explained show, how a lot of times context around gameplay is what really helps me enjoy the gameplay, just like in a movie. I don't like just straight up action if there's nothing around it to really make me feel like that action is earned. So when I'm playing a video game, as I'm moving through the world, I want to feel grounded by the world I'm in. And this looks really cool. And it's interesting because it's like if this was like 15 years ago, you might say, oh, this is like bad graphics or something. I don't know when that threshold was that this is now like cool because it's like a style. Anyway, I'm hoping to play that here soon. Wait a minute. It came out June, or is that the demo came out June 7th? Let's go back to the the game itself doesn't I'm gonna add it to my wish list. Anyway, because what I was gonna say, and I could be wrong, is it would be neat if let's say this is a $20 game and it's not like, a 60-hour thing. If I can like beat it in like 12 hours, that would be really cool. That's what I'm into. I'm into playing these games that like you can beat them in a 12 to 20 hour period, but if you wanted to, you could get more out of it. Yeah, well, guys, that is it. That is the end of this episode on this Friday. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll be back next week with some more gaming news. Wait a minute. No, that's the 28th. We have it's so close to the 30th. We have Kirby Forgotten Land update, Shinobi. There's some neat games that are going to come out by the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, I'm heading out. Have a good weekend. We'll talk later. See y'all.